What's good, everybody? It's your brother Mad Black, the most dangerous and the most toxic black man on the internet, and I am black up in your face again with some more pro-black commentary. So, I posted this meme on my YouTube community post, and if this is the direction that we are going in, I'm with it. If black people are really getting to the point where they are tired of the Negro whisperers, I'm all for that. Okay, I would be very happy if we are going to put an end to these types of people because they do a lot of damage and they cause a lot of chaos and confusion, and we need to be done with them. Okay, and if you haven't seen the meme, here it is right here, and it shows some of the most infamous of the white folks who are invited to the cookout, as dumb Negroes say. You know, you got Vlad TV, you got Adam, you got Michael Crackerport, you got Jane Elliott, and you got Tim Wise. And the meme is basically saying, like, spring is almost over. We need to finish cleaning up. Need to finish the house cleaning. I agree. I agree with that. Okay? I've agreed with it for a long time now because these people are, at the very least, they're useless, and at the worst, they are detrimental to the black community as a whole. And I don't know why. Well, here's the thing. Like when I first saw this meme, I said one of the biggest problem is it's hard to clean these people out because so many Negroes, especially the celebrities, like to go and be up under these white folks, right? Especially when you talk about the two on top. You know, a lot of black folks love going on Vlad TV for years. Black people elevated Vlad TV. No one even knew who this fool was until black people started going on his YouTube channel, right? And it's always, you know, popular black people, famous black people go on his YouTube channel and help blow him up. And of course, because the popular black people are on his show, the youth will watch it, you know, because they're fans of those popular black celebrities, right? So, you know, it helped to elevate this buffoon. And a lot of black celebrities also go on Adam's show as well and help to elevate him. So it's hard to say like black people as a whole should get rid of these folks when so many black celebrities continue to mess with them. You know what I mean? Like, you know, very recently, Vlad TV has gotten called out because he made, or he tried anyway, to get this black female Princeton professor fired from her job because basically she told him he needs to butt out of black business and he shouldn't, you know, have his nose in, you know, black culture, basically, because he was giving his comments on what's been going on with the rap beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. And, you know, in a way, while I agree with what the sister said, it also comes off as kind of goofy to me because she's one of these black liberals who they want to be pro-black when it's convenient. Like they want to be up under white folks, but then, you know, they go through these white colleges and get promoted through these white colleges and get jobs through these white colleges and then want to tell white people to kiss their ass. It's like, you know, like Cornel West. Like to me, when I see stuff like that, it's kind of corny. You know what I mean? Like you can't be up under white people's skirt and then talk about F white people. That's just not how it works. And you're basically controlled opposition to a degree, right? So once again, I agree with what she said. And I agree with her ire towards Vlad TV because I feel the same way. Ben should have been cast out, but you know, we got to keep an eye on her as well. But you know, a lot of people are getting on Vlad because basically he played the white Karen role and was basically telling her he was going to get her fired. You know, let me speak to your manager, let me speak to your boss. You know, he's funny in that way. In that, you know, he plays this I'm down with black folks, but he runs and tells real quick. He works with the police real quick. You know, that's why I don't understand why any Negro won't even mess with Vlad, because so many black folks have gone to prison based on either running their mouth on Vlad's show or him just basically just going straight to the feds or to the police and handing over, his interviews as evidence to get these Negroes locked up. But Negroes still go on there and mess with him. I don't get it. It's like, how dumb can you be? That's why it's almost hard for me to blame him, because he is a devil. But if you keep walking into the hellfire, what are we to do, right? And when it comes to these other clowns on the bottom, I even noticed on my page, on my YouTube channel, I got some pushback, especially when it comes to the last two in the corner here with Jane Elliott and Tim Wise. They are like the ultimate infiltrator Negro whisperers. These are really the most dangerous ones, if you want my humble opinion. It's easy to spot out people like Vlad and, Michael Rappaport's racist ass and Adam as basically just using black people. It's easy to spot them. But then when you have two other white people who pretend that they are for black people or that they're helping black people, or my favorite, that they're teaching white people about racism, and that's when you got something that's very dangerous, because black people all of a sudden start putting them on a pedestal. And it's bad when you have two people where if you don't look into them enough and you don't find out what their background is and you don't really understand what their position is, you can get easily wrapped up in wanting to put these people once again on a pedestal. Just because someone is fighting against racism, and to be totally honest, they're not really even fighting against racism, they're quote unquote teaching about racism. Just because they do that does not mean that they are for black people as a whole, or that they're even for black people even moving out of the position that they're in. In my opinion, these two, Jane Elliott and Tim Wise, are classic liberal bigots. And what I mean by that is, let me give you just a quick history lesson so I can give you some context. There were a lot of abolitionists who were against slavery, white abolitionists who were against slavery during, pre-Civil War and during Civil War time. But they did not believe that black people were still human, or they did not believe that black people were on their level. Do you understand that? So just because they might be against the institution of slavery still does not mean that they feel that black people are equal to them. Now, in my opinion, I think like people like Tim Wise and Jane Elliott are kind of descendants of that, to where, they might be against the social construct of racism, but they still support white supremacy. They still support black people being in an inferior position. One reason, because it helps them make money. You can't go around talking about racism if, if racism stops existing or white supremacy disappears, right? Or, if black people actually move out of that position of being the race that is constantly dumped on, then they won't make a living either. They can't just pat black people on the head and say, oh, these poor wretches here that we can help and make ourselves feel better, right? And, like I said, Jane Elliott has been found out when people asked her about reparations, she does not support reparations for black people. That's a big eye-opener for a lot of black folks, and reveals a lot to people like myself, because that means that, once again, she does not want black people to move from that position. She's okay with, talking about white folks and how they treat black people, basically like how our animal activist talks about animals, right? Like, like they'll say like, yeah, you should treat your dog good, but they're still not going to let the dog sit at the table with them, right? So that's they're comfortable with that. They're comfortable in, yeah, I can pat black people on the head and say we need to help black people, but then I can always still go back to my white neighborhood and live higher than those black people do, right? And not only that, those black people will pay me and uplift me anytime I go around them. They'll think I'm like their auntie and invite me to the cookout and basically pay me for, quote unquote, speaking up for them. And Tim Wise does the same thing. you know. And one of the things egregious about Tim Wise is that what he did was basically he wants to be the one to tell both whites and blacks what racism is. He definitely doesn't want black people to think and talk about race for themselves. There have been black people like Amos Wilson, like Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, and Neely Fuller who have talked about racism and what it truly is, what white supremacy truly is, that Tim Wise has dissed. He's been very disrespectful to those people, saying, like, calling them like pseudoscientists and saying that, black people shouldn't listen to people like that. So that basically means you still want to lord over black people, basically revealing the white supremacists within you, right? So that's what I mean. Is like, you have to be careful of these types of people where they, just because they're not for certain things, or, they're teaching people about racism, doesn't mean that they're for you, right? Because even someone came to my channel saying that, well, Tim Wise is teaching white people about racism. And in that regard, like, to me, that's just a faulty mindset. I used to think this way when I was younger. Like, if we can somehow teach white people that they're being bad, or that racism is bad, that they'll change their ways and everything will be better, that's not going to fix anything. Okay? They know about racism. This is what I figured out and found out the hard way. They truly understand what racism is. They understand white supremacy. They might not say it out loud to you, right? But that doesn't mean that they don't understand what the system is. They understand how it works. You just saw that video where I showed you where that district attorney was acting a straight up asshole to the cop and had no fear for her life. She didn't think she was in trouble or her life was in any real danger, right? She just drove home, walked in her house, digged in her purse, jumped in the car, out of the car, yelled at the man, cursed at him, and everything else. And at no point did she have any fear for her life that she could be murdered by that cop. That's not something that we can deal with. But she knows that she's a protected class, and not just because of her job position, because she's a white female. This is why white people act a damn fool when they get pulled over by the police. And thank you for one of my subs basically bringing it up, saying that white people are usually the most disrespectful when it comes to the police. And that's usually because they can't believe that anyone would try to exert authority over them, right? They said that badge and that gun, that's for you to take out on Negroes. That's not for us. That's not for white folks, right? You're supposed to abuse them, not us. We have a already protected position just from our white skin. And, that's the world that we deal with. And like I said, white people know this. Even Neely Fuller said this. He's like, by the time a white boy gets to about 15, 16 years old, he knows what his position is, right? If not just from learning it through osmosis, through just watching TV and the popular media, or actually getting the lessons from mouth to ear from his elders, right? They know what the position is. It's black people who are confused about racism and white supremacy. Black people always get it confused, and that's how you wind up falling for demons like this. This is why you wind up falling for people like Vlad TV or Adam. Adam lets black guys have sex with his wife, so dumb Negroes think he must be cool with black people, right? He must love black people. Michael Rappaport is in movies with black people where he's dating black women. He must be cool with black people until his people are perceived to be suffering. And he decides to blame it all on black people and attack black people for it, right? Jane Elliott seems like she's for black people because she's talking about racism and discrimination. But as soon as you say, well, hey, if you believe that this country is racist, why not give black people their proper compensation for the legacy of slavery? She's like, oh, no, we can't do that. That wouldn't be right. That wouldn't be fair. See, all of a sudden the shit changes when you start getting to the nitty gritty and the truth of what's actually inside these people. Vlad TV seems like he's cool with black people, right? He listens to hip hop. He spins some records, right? But no sooner as the situation came up with like Farrakhan or, any situation comes up where black people actually start talking some black power stuff, you notice he doesn't like that, right? He always pushes back against that. And what's interesting to me is Vlad likes the rap music that's very destructive. He always talks about things like NWA and gangster rap and stuff like that because he was raised on the West Coast. A lot of it is because it's self-destructive that he likes to promote that. A lot of the more ignorant rap music that came out during like the 2000s and whatnot, he promotes that shit. He likes that. He doesn't like conscious rap. He rarely talks about that at all. So, I mean, you folks can let me know how you feel about that in the comment section and let me know what you think about these Negro whisperers. Do you feel it's time to get rid of them and push them to the side? In my opinion, it's been time. They should have been gone. They never should have been there in the first place. They should never have a position where they can even speak for or about black people. But once again, too many Negroes elevate them to some sort of big social status that they should lord over us or even feel that they have the right to open their mouth to give an opinion about us. Anyway, you guys let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. I very much like to hear your opinions on this. Anyway, Mad Black, and I will be back with my foot on the devil's back.